All right. So, okay, we are officially live with Victor Munoz, uh, entrepreneur, dropshipper, marketer. So, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Hope you're doing great as well, man.
I am, bro. So, can you just tell everyone to provide some context, like who you are, what you do, and how you got into entrepreneurship?
Yeah. My name is Victor Munoz, as he mentioned. I go by at ecomvic on Instagram. I'm 23 years old. I have been doing marketing for about actually coming up on 3 years. 3 years. Started when I was 20. Kind of have a long story on how it got started, but I'm here. I feel like I've learned a lot in the past 3 years I've been doing this, so it's been great. Super great experience. And I'm forever thankful for all the steps that got me to this point so far.
Okay. So, you said you started your first business or entrepreneurial journey when you were 20?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So, that's probably like what? 20-year-olds right now, they're probably a sophomore or a junior or
I
in
actually,
college, right?
so I actually started after my third year of college, so junior. But I am one of the younger ones in my class, so that's kind of
Okay.
like that.
Now, did you start a business just to make money, or did you want to get
It
out
was
of
out of
college?
necessity. Yeah, it was out of necessity. So I've always like secretly been business oriented in like the sense that like when I was little, in elementary school, me and my best friend used to like draw comic books and like literally print them and sell them to our classmates. So it was super dope. In middle school, I was selling cough drops to kids. It was like super weird. So like not really recommended because that's kind of like technically a drug. So I was
Hmm.
just like slanging like the middle school drug dealer. And then in high school, I actually sold a lot of chocolate bars and like chips to like my friends. And then that kind of actually paid for my first car. So it was like super dope. So I've always kind of had that mindset. And I actually went into college wanting to be a biochemistry major. I was doing a minor in business though as well because I always again was business oriented. So my whole plan was that I was going to graduate, become one of the best chemists on the planet, and then open like a pharmacy or something along those lines. So I wanted
Hmm.
something tangible that was mine that could business at the end of the day. The problem though is that I actually reached the third year of my college. I never failed a class at this point, and I basically realized I was extremely behind in terms of like I was never able to get the classes I needed. So I went to my counselor that last day, literally right the last day of school for my junior year, and they basically told me that I was going to take another 3 years for me to graduate. So me in my head is like I'm already 3 years in, another 3 years, 6 years for a degree that's only going to pay me 50K. I need a plan B. So I ended up stumbling across digital marketing. This trade school thing called Udacity, and that's kind of like what got me started. So I ended up biting the bullet, took that course, trade school course. It was like work at your own pace. 3 months in, I actually got an internship. There's a whole story that goes with that. I don't want to take too much time on that. But that's basically how I got started. So I was working for an agency, and I started getting ads for drop shipping, and I kind of
Okay.
asked myself, I was like, well, if I could do it for my boss, why not do it for myself? And that's kind of like how drop shipping came to be.
Okay. So you first went into doing social media marketing or, running
Digital
ads for a
marketing.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
digital marketing. Yeah, social media marketing, whatever you
Okay.
want to call it. Yeah. So basically, that Udacity program got me a certificate that was certified by Google and by Facebook to say that I'm capable of doing like entry level marketing for like like agency basically.
Okay.
The agency I worked for was not an SMMA. It was called an Internet Solutions Agency. So they primarily do like website builds and like one-off stuff, like crazy builds for like they make apps, like SaaS programs and stuff like that. But they just needed a new marketing guy, and I just ended up fitting that bill, so it worked out.
Okay. So you were working for another company and then you asked yourself the question like, hey, if I'm making money for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
company, why can't I do it myself?
exactly. So I was getting a lot of drop shipping ads. The one that kind of like changed everything for me was this guy named the Minority Mindset, the YouTube channel. I don't know if you've seen it. It's an Indian guy.
I think I've
So
seen it.
yeah. So that guy had a video about drop shipping, and like I liked his content a lot. And he finally this happened. I watched that video, and I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy. So I'm like, you know what, like. I really thought to myself that evening, I was like, well, if I'm doing this for my boss, this is essentially like, doing it for his clientele. Like, why not just do it for myself, make my own website, find my own products, see how it goes. So that's how I kind of got into dropshipping specifically. And I actually launched my first ad on my birthday. My birthday's coming up. It's next Sunday, the 25th. So so that's how I know it's like 3 years in. I was 20 when
Hmm.
I launched my first ad ever, and now it's like I know that. That's kind of like how I know I'm on my dates.
Okay. Wait, so you said you launched your first drop shipping store?
Dropshipping store and dropshipping ads. That store flopped though, like that first store.
Okay. And did you know what product you sold?
I actually did make a sale, but my first sale actually came my first day. It was a weed necklace. It's kind of ugly.
Oh, weed next.
One of those little cheesy bedazzled weed necklaces.
Okay. So
So
your
I
first store failed.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, definitely. Devastatingly failed. I lost like 3 grand on it. And the thing that I think was my downfall is that coming from an agency background, like doing
Hmm.
ads for my boss, I was doing a lot of lead gen. So lead gen, I can tell you now that lead gen ads are way easier than dropshipping or just conversion style ads for like products. So there's a big difference there. So I was going into the mindset that like, well, I already have ad background, like it should be a breeze. No, I got fucking slapped. So I'll be honest, I got slapped. That was hot shit, and it just basically slapped me down to the ground. But it definitely humbled me. And my second approach was my like first successful store. So that was super dope.
Wait, just to remind me, lead gen is when you just want to get someone, say, phone number, email,
Yeah, phone
name, all
number,
that
email,
information.
yeah.
Okay.
So when I was working with my boss, I was doing a lot of auto insurance companies. So basically
Mm-hmm.
local auto insurance companies that need like leads basically. So we'd run up ads on Google and Facebook. And if somebody needed auto insurance to go to the landing page, which my boss built, and then basically
Okay.
like email, and then we give those leads to the actual client.
So it's a different ballgame between getting leads to getting a conversion off a product or a
Yeah,
service, right?
definitely. It's a lot different. I think it's a lot easier to do lead gens, especially because the cost of the ad themselves is a lot cheaper than as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to a conversion ad. And Facebook knows that they're going to charge you more for like something that actually makes you money right off the bat. Because at the end of the day, a lead could go either way, So, and they know that too. So, that's kind of why I would say it's easier. And then plus, like with leads, you can always offer something for free, and you can always get like something in return. So, like for us, like one of the main offers for that car insurance company was like get like $100 off your like first 3 months with like quote or whatever. So like people are saving money, so they're more incentivized to just put their email and phone number in.
I see. Yeah. So, okay, what steps did you take next to learn about like conversion ads and running
Yeah,
ads to make money off
yeah,
products?
yeah. So I actually did a little. I kind of diverged a little bit. So when I did my first store was primarily like Facebook ads, but me just getting slapped in the face constantly. Like I remember one time I spent $300 to make a sale on a $15 product. And I was super happy about it. I was like, now looking back, I was like, you're an idiot. Like why was I happy about that? But basically, yeah. So my second store, I actually watched some YouTuber who was like talking about winning products for that year. So he was talking about, I don't mind sharing, it was dad hats. I was selling nothing but dad hats. Literally, I had a site, all dad hats, super dope. And he basically was selling it with influencers. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me take a step back from Facebook, do influencer marketing. So basically, I would reach out to meme pages or like people with like some type of following, like mini fashion people, and
Mm-hmm.
basically send them out product for free in return for a shout out. And that worked really well. I was actually able to sustain that. And then from there, I started buying some courses for Facebook ads again to get more into like conversions and like watching more YouTube videos. And then I kind of incorporated that. So that store, after 3 months, was going between like influencers and Facebook. I also had a little bit of Google in there because I had friends who were really skilled at Google. So altogether, that store was averaging about 12K per month in revenue. But since it was primarily influencer based, the margins are actually pretty good. It was like about 52% margin. So I was
Okay.
making pretty good money for being a college dropout, with all my friends still in school. So this is another thing where I think ego is very important. That was hot shit, bro. Like I literally was like, hell yeah, I'm making more money. I don't know. I didn't save any pennies. Like I wear this Rolex. This is the only thing I have left that I could remember I actually bought that year. But everything else, I have no clue where that money went. So that you don't even ask me. So yeah.
Wait, I was actually thinking about this today about influencer marketing. And yes, with like when you do Facebook ads, you can make that conversion right away. But when you do influencer marketing, I have no experience in this whatsoever. But yeah, you talk to an influencer and they do a shout out. Ideally, when you run a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad and do a swipe up, and then you can go
Yeah.
from that swipe up to the actual
To the
page
page,
to
yeah.
buy the product. Now, I don't think when you do influencer marketing that the influencer can do that. All they can do is kind of tag you,
They could tag you. I would do it this way, and this is how I do it. And I do influencer marketing every now and then. Like if I have a product
Okay.
that's doing really well on Facebook ads, because that's where my specialty is now. And I want to incorporate another traffic source, I'll reach out to influencers. But basically, I would give them a picture of the product. I'll tell them to post a picture, but usually you want to not make it look too much like an ad. So I'll tell them to choose a meme, put the meme as the first post. The second post will be my product. And then from there, it'll be like, I'll write the caption out, give them the caption to put it. And they'll basically have the link, the product link in their bio. And in the caption, it'll say, oh, check out the link in the bio if you're interested or something like that.
Okay. And just to make sure, like that product link, when you actually write down in a description, it's not really a link. You have to like copy and paste it on your own, right? You have to select it.
Well, if it's in their bio, they could just tap it from their bio and it should be able to like take them to the page. It'll open the website and so on.
So I'll take you to the Instagram page, right? And then
No,
on
to the
there.
actual like store, to the actual product store page.
Oh, okay. Because I was just because I was looking at brands and
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at, the brand, like a lot of people have this where they have like neon lights
Mm-hmm.
and, they're taking the picture with the neon light with the cool saying or cool quote.
Yeah.
And, usually when you type in the picture, you have the hashtag or the tag of the page itself, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to go to their page directly. And where I'm going with this is that ideally you want to create less friction as possible. So once
Yeah.
you see the influencer, you ideally want to go directly to the store instead of you going to the actual page and then clicking on the bio to click on the.
Oh yeah, that's how it was. Okay, we got confused. I think we confused each other. Yeah, that's how it would be. You
Okay.
can't on the caption itself. You can't have a clickable link. I
Okay.
don't know
Yeah.
why they do it like that, but they
Yeah.
do. So yeah, the next best thing was just going to like. So basically, let's just say I have somebody. Let's just say I don't know, like Logan Paul, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have Logan Paul promote my whatever, like this baby group popper or whatever, and all of a sudden people are interested. So like his caption, the caption I wrote for him will say link in the bio. They'll go to his profile and then in his link bio they'll have the
Oh,
link.
okay. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you're more focused on Facebook ads though, right?
Yeah, now
You're
I
so,
am. So this is kind of my specialty now. It was kind of like my favorite of the two when I was learning them back at the agency days. But it's kind of like where I saw the most growth possible. So with Google, I have friends who do Google, and not to knock them, like they're animals on their own. But basically, what I liked about Facebook is that you could literally reach pretty much anybody on the planet, and the scalability is there. Like you could hit those big days. Like I've hit 100K a day now, and it's like well, I'll do the Facebook primarily because of the amount of people there are to reach. You get me?
mm-hmm.
That's something like that I don't think is very possible with influencers unless you know like celebrities, right? Like if I know Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, and like Travis Scott, then yeah, by all means I can hit those numbers. But not everybody has access to those people.
Yeah.
And even then, they charge an arm and a leg. Like I think Kylie Jenner charges like 300K a post, dude. It's insane. So like
Oh
nobody
yeah.
has 300K to just drop on a random product,
Mm-hmm.
without proving it. So with Facebook ads, I was able to get, I'm not going to say nearly that potential, but like there's good potential there and scalability for sure.
Okay. So you think that you were the hot kid on the block making 12K revenue a month. So what happened next? Like, did you kind of scale that business into something else
Yeah.
or what?
So it's kind of actually, I got complacent. I got very complacent. So what ended up happening with me is that I was making more money than my friends, so it was cool. So I just kind of got comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was also actually still working at the agency. I didn't quit yet because my boss actually let me work from home. So like I was like, pretty much like his whole rule is that as long as the work gets done by noon on Friday, you can do whatever the hell you want. So I would just do all the work on Thursday. So basically, I was like literally living like a super passive life. I was making like decent money with him, and then I was making the money from my dropshipping store. So I was making
Mm-hmm.
about 6 to 8K per month, which is really good for somebody who just dropped out of college. Like at the end of the day, who's in there, like who's literally just turned 21, and like I was literally just chilling. I did not, it was weird. So I got really complacent, and it actually came across. That store launched actually this like the last 2 days of December of 2017, going into 2018. Around what month was that? What month was that? September of 2018. That store started dying on me, and the reason why is that purge mask. So that purge mask came into place, the LED one. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. That
Mm-hmm.
one came into play, and all the meme pages I was using to promote started promoting that, and the people who owned those stores were paying him more than I was paying them, so they were willing to work more with them. And I get it. So that purge mask single-handedly killed that business. Like that business just went down. So I was in panic mode. I still had savings, and this is actually where some of my savings went. I actually ended up investing in a mentor. I actually unfortunately got scammed by the first person. I actually had high hopes for this mentor. I don't want to really say his name because I kind of want to go after him myself later on, but that's another story. But basically, I got scammed out of 4K, so it sucked a lot, big time. Dropped in the money even when making decent money. And again, I don't know where the rest of the money went. It's just that was one of the big things that kind of sucked. So I basically, the only reason I trusted him is that a lot of big people in the space actually say that like he mentored them. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe he just like got the fame and now he's just scamming people, because there's actually a group of, we're in the group chat and there's like people being added every day of people this guy scams. Super sad. But basically like to this day he's still scamming. So I don't know what happened with them. I don't know what's his deal. I don't know why he's scamming, but whatever. That's another question for another day. But I lost 4K with him. And then at that point, I got into a very weird situation where I'm like, fuck, dude, this store's still dying. I just got scammed 4K. What to do? They know what to do. Started testing products on my own on Facebook. I couldn't really get momentum. So I came across another mentor, and this guy was actually my first legit mentor. His name's Justin Wool, super great guy. Like if you're looking for a mentor and you like have no experience whatsoever, I would highly recommend his mentorship. It's like a lecture-based style. So if you're in college and you like lectures, then that's kind of like the best way to go, in my opinion. But I was in his Facebook group, and like I just saw him keep on like his student results were crazy. Like people were posting like fat numbers. So I was like, damn, that's where I want to be. So I reached out to him. I will say this, like Justin's an amazing guy and he's super friendly, but also comes off as really salesy, and he's not really, he's just like that. He's not salesy at all. He's just like that. And I just got scammed. So I was like, fuck, I don't want to give this guy this money. He charged me $6K for a 3-month mentorship. So I was like, fuck, you know, like, but I decided, something told me, you know what, trust this guy, let's go. So I ended up working out. I got a lot of knowledge. I didn't actually get a real winner with him. I had like enough to like just cover the cost of the mentorship with him, but I didn't really get anything crazy. And from there, like just through trial and error, I eventually found my first like major winning product, which is like kind of what got me like my foot in the game again. And I actually got scammed by one of my business partners, but that's another story. So,
yeah, too many stories. Yeah.
You know, I'm grateful for every step. So it is.
Yeah. So that story that you said, so after you repaid your mentor through the money that you were making through his knowledge, and you learned stuff on your own, that story that you have, is it still ongoing?
That one, the one I had, the dad hat one is gone. Like that one's been gone. Like it actually died before. I just like that mentor, Justin, kind of like looked it over with me. And he's like, I don't really think there's anything here anymore. So it's just best to move on. I was like, you know what, you're right. Let's just kill it. So
okay,
kind of killed my first store. That was my baby at the time. So it kind of sucked, but you know, I knew there was better things along the road. So I kind of had another store that was working pretty well with him, but I ended up just not really like I just made enough money to like cover the cost of the mentorship. That was kind of it. But I didn't really get major success until about about 4 months after the mentorship. I kind of started picking up on my own again. And yeah, just kind of just how it started. And then from there, I actually got scammed by another business partner, which is like a long story in itself. We got hit with bank fraud. Basically, they wrote the check out to him only, and he acted like he never got it, cashed it out. I know he cashed it out. Like he tries to reach out to me and be like buddy. I'm like, bro, fuck you, you know. But basically, he cashed out this check, and basically all the earnings from that store were basically in his pocket. So that store went bankrupt too. That was my first successful store. From there, it's just bouncing back, and I got really close to my current business partner named Jacob, and it's just been crazy. I mean, like we've gotten scammed by him. You know, we've been going ups and downs. We've been smacked in the face by merchant processors. So it's been like a really rocky road, but like we got momentum, and we finally like kind of like where we want to be, and we know we're going in the right direction now. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Now I feel that the dad hat is an interesting concept because, I mean, it's a very generic product, but did you kind of have a style, or did you have funny quotes or funny pictures on the caps that made it different than anyone else?
Yeah. So I made it kind of like pop culture kind of thing. So
okay,
I would take like if I found I would look for like anime hats with anime icons. So like Dragon Ball, I had like the Dragon Ball Z logo, or like the Dragon Ball logo, like actual Dragon Ball. Naruto had like, you know, Naruto little emblems on it. I also got into albums, so like anything related to like what Travis Scott just dropped Astroworld that year. So I found an Astroworld hat from AliExpress and just dropped that shit, and that shit went crazy. Stuff like that. So like literally anything pop culture related that was relevant at the time, I tried to find a hat for it, and then I'd go from there. Another thing I was utilizing is I was using print on demand. So anything that didn't have a hat, I would hire a graphic designer from Fiverr to make me a little icon, and I would get it embroidered on hats from Printful. And those ones I would charge, and I call them like the premium.
Yeah.
Because it costs me a little bit more because they're not coming from China. But
so did you not get in trouble because, you know, you're using like intellectual property like Dragon Ball Z?
You could, and so I would not advise it. But I was at such a low scale that I don't think it mattered. You know, I never really got bugged. So I think if I would have scaled that to like 100, 200K a month, then yeah. But I was doing like 10K. And at that point, how I see it is like if I was a big business, would I really waste my time to sue somebody over like $10,000? You know, if you're like $1 million brand. I don't think it matters. But I could see the argument for like a 200, 300K a month kind of business. You get me?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you've been hit a lot of times through like, you know, these scams, and you said payment processors.
Yeah.
And you said you had one successful store that your business partner kind of took the money away from you guys, from you. So did you at one point become more independent and just like, hey, I'm going to just do this on my own, not get scammed, and finally this being really...
Yeah, I like that question. So that store was a really cool store, by the way. And that one was our first 100K store. So that's where I started on my own, but I just really didn't want to deal with like the fulfillment aspect, legal aspect, or money handling aspect. So I hired, or I got my partner Jacob on board with that store. He was going to take 30%, I took 70, so that was cool and whatever. And we're going good with that. The third partner, who I'm not going to name just because again that's kind of my target, but at the end of the day with him, basically he knew the owner of a merchant processor that would be able to get us approved. I'm not going to say the name of that merchant processor because that guy is known for like being a baby about everything. So I'm not going to put that out there. I don't want him DMing me. But basically, that merchant processor at the time had a 3-month waiting list. And the store that we were doing, Stripe didn't want to support our product anymore. So they told us you basically have 7 days to get off. So I was like, well, fuck, I need something. So I basically reached out to my business partner, the third one, the one that stole the money. And he had a good relationship with that merchant processor. So I told him, like, look, I'll give you 5% of the store and we could open like whatever we need to open and you could just, have him let us cut the wait list. So since it was him, he actually let us cut. So we were on that merchant processor right away within like a couple of days because that merchant processor and him had a great relationship. The problem is that the merchant processor needed, since it was him on the application, the merchant processor needed a bank with his name on it. So we opened a joint bank account with my name and the business partner that stole the money. And we actually got hit with bank fraud. So somebody stole like $10,000 from the account. And basically, I think we were with US Bank. They closed our accounts down, so we couldn't even access the money, which made it like a lot of problems in its own right. But they finally released the money, but they wrote it via check. So they sent the check to him. It was supposed to be for both of us to cash out, but he just ran with the check and never like told me about it. And I know he ran out because I actually got an email about it and I asked him and confronted him about it. And he's like, dude, I never got anything. So I was like, I know you're bullshitting me, but whatever.
Damn. So wait, I'm kind of confused with the payment processor. So if you're using Shopify, everyone uses, I mean, there's tons of like payment processors there, but everyone kind of uses Stripe. Why use, we had to use another one because of like.
So Stripe, depending on like how fast you scale or like on your product even, like they'll basically like either kick you off the platform or not. They'll give you like a little warning message. And basically like some products, for some reason, I don't know how they're doing. I know their AI is the one that does it. But I used to sell shoes, like bad shoes, like men's dress shoes. And basically, like I got kicked off of Stripe because they said that's a high risk product. I'm like, I don't really understand, but whatever. So like that product, the one that we were selling that hit the 100K month, that first 100K month, they considered it high risk. It was stupid too, because it's like something that everybody wears, but whatever. And that basically got cooked. Like we basically, like they politely told us just to get off their platform. So at that point, that's why we needed that other merchant processor.
And then all these businesses, you were more focused on the Facebook ads and whatnot.
Yeah,
right?
So that's my specialty. I focus on like the advertisement side of things, specifically Facebook. I'm dabbling in Snapchat and TikTok right now. I do a little bit of influencer marketing when needed, and then I do everything like website related. So like build the site out, make the logo, all that stuff. Like write the copy. My partner Jacob handles everything I don't want to do. So legal, money management. He actually like finds a supplier. He like manages like the customer service teams and all that stuff. So he does actually more tasks than I do. He's just really good at that. So like he actually works at a aerospace engineering plant. He's like the manager there. So he doesn't really do anything during his job, but like when he used to, like that's basically like what he's applying to the dropshipping business is what he used to do. So like it's very easy for him. It's like second nature. Whereas me, I've never been a manager of anybody. So it's like kind of hard for me to like do all these extra tasks that like I don't really know what to do and do what I have to do on my side, So it was best just to like break up the work. And that's why I like really found him as like a great business partner, because he was able to provide the skill sets that I needed and didn't really want to put my energy into.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have a different business partner who has different skill sets than you.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, so what made your Facebook ads like really good? Was it your creative? Was it the copy? Was it the way you just targeted people? Like what was your, I guess, your real skill here?
Yeah, so at the time, my strategy was very basic. It's just kind of like the standard one. So back then it was like target worldwide, the age group that like you think would work best, the gender that the product applies most to, or both genders, single interest targeting, and then just launching the ad. And that works though. I mean, it's actually not much different than what I do now, but basically like I would just duplicate every ad set that worked. I just kind of worked my way up. I threw a little bit of manual bidding in there due to my mentor's previous training. Now it's a lot different and it's a lot easier for me to scale something up just because I kind of refined my system and I actually grew out of my mentor system and kind of made my own thing just based on other pieces of knowledge I was like incorporating in from other gurus or other mentorships or whatever it was. But yeah, so I ended up just kind of going into my own. But I think the thing with my ads and why they work so well is that I think product selection is king. I'm actually getting really good at like finding winning products now. So I think that's kind of one of the things. At the end of the day, like you can have the best ads on the planet, but if the product sucks, nobody's gonna buy it. So like it's just the plain and simple truth. I think I simplified the way I like look like target, and I think that changed a lot for me. I used to like overcomplicate like what I should target, but now that I just kind of simplified a lot of these steps, it works a lot better. Creative, I always just stick like 85% of my winning products are picture ads, and everybody like freaks out when I say that because everybody's so used to getting preached about videos. But my rule of thumb is that if you could look at the product, like the picture, and know exactly what it does, then you don't need a video after that. So for example, if I show you this water bottle, we know this is a water bottle. I don't need to make you a 20, 30-second long video for a water bottle. It makes no sense. Unless it's something that you have no clue what it does, then at that point, then yeah, like definitely make a video ad for that. And I think that's where some people overcomplicate it, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to watch a 30-second video on a water bottle. Like they're just gonna scroll past it. So that's that. And then for copy, I just keep it very simple. Nothing too crazy, but I like to incorporate now a story-based copy. So I like to put, instead of benefits, I kind of list those benefits into like a little story or scenario that where the customer could kind of like position themselves in that scenario, so that way they could kind of feel like what it would be like owning that product. And I think that's very powerful.
Yeah. But in terms of product research, right? You know, everyone can have access to the same product that you have if they find it on Alibaba. Either you make unique changes to it in one way or another. Like, what do you do exactly to kind of differentiate yourself between other dropshippers who are getting that product, or maybe you're the first guy to discover that product and, you know, make a killing with it?
Yeah, if I'm the first guy on that product, then the ads will literally just take off on their own, assuming the product is good, right? So like at that point, my goal is like spend as much as I can, so I make it very difficult for people to come into the market. Like my product, one of my products from the summer is actually on all these dropshipping spy tools. I think it's hilarious because I'm like, I already milked the shit out of it. So like, I'm like, they're just getting my scraps at this point, but whatever. So if I'm stealing a product, which is like, I find like I'm on my Facebook feed and I find a product that intrigues me, my first step is like, I try to improve everything about it. So I'll look for better quality photos to add on my site. I'll look at their ad. I'll look at the copy. I'll try to make that better on my site and on my ad and launch that. If it's a video ad, I'll hire somebody to make me a better video than that one, and I'll launch it and just see how it goes. And I start really slow when I steal a product. So I usually do like 5 to like 12 ads. This is kind of my rule. So on those ones, I'll do probably like around 7 to 8. And just depending on how those go, I'll scale really rapidly so I can just get my foot in the door as soon as possible.
Okay. And in terms of you know, strategy and diversification, do you kind of try to escalate or grow vertically within the brand that you're working with, or do you kind of discover a new product and then try to create as many stores as possible and have all these stores making money for you?
Yeah. Oh, it's that one. But I am getting into brand building. So people, and it's kind of like, I guess, like, it's a common misconception, but it's also just kind of like the space in general. People think that just putting your logo on a product makes it a brand. And I don't really think that's the case anymore. I think a real brand, which I am part of 2 real brands, is a pain in the ass. Like we have to make the product in-house in the USA. It's like we have employees, we have a warehouse. Like it's real work. It's like a completely different ballgame. You can't scale as crazy as you would like because you have to make sure the employees can handle the volume that you're trying to bring in. So that's like what a real brand is to me now. Like we're focusing on like making like real style commercials, like reaching out to like people to become the endorsers, like not influencers, just like people who will be the face of the company. Like it's a lot different. So that's what I think about when I hear brand now. Not the little like just put a sticker on your product and call it a brand. That doesn't count to me anymore. But I also do focus primarily on dropshipping. So this is my rule of thumb. I like to have a little bit of both, because at the end of the day, the brand is forever. And if you have the right product, then that will last for a long time. And worst case scenario is that, like, if I can't find any winning products on the dropshipping side, I always have this to fall back on financially. And as opposed to before, I actually had months where I wouldn't find any winning products. And that's a shitty feeling to be in, because like it feels like your world's crumbling down, right? Like you just made this money, but now you're losing it again, trying to find your next big thing. So it's a crappy feeling. So I never wanted to get that feeling again. So that's why I kind of focused on having other sources of income, which would be brands and actually SMMA. So I have a couple SMMA clients. I don't take too many of them, but that's kind of like just consistent paychecks for myself. I always know I'm going to be there in case something bad happens here.
Is it fair to say that the life cycle of a dropshipper is, you know, you find the winning product and then squeeze every single ounce of like juice from it, and then once it stops making money, you kind of move on to the next product, because, you know, if you have that brand, you can always fall back to it. And no matter what, you know, you're going to get indirect sales from it, and you don't have to rely on the Facebook ads to make money off of it. So is that kind of like the life cycle of a
Yeah,
typical
I would
drop
say
shipper?
so. Yeah, no, I would say so for sure, 100%. I think you could take some products that you had success with and brand them, but the thing with branding is I think it's a very time sensitive and also volume sensitive topic. Like, I can't run a product and squeeze the shit out of it and then turn it into a brand, because then nobody's interested anymore. Like, it's done, right? Like, if you're planning on branding a product, you can't scale to crazy high numbers right off the bat. Like, you have to gradually go up because you want to build momentum and hype. If I build all the momentum in the beginning and then it, like, the momentum dies down, then I try branding, nobody's gonna care about that product. So that's one thing that I think a lot of people mess up on.
Yeah. And yeah, branding is definitely harder because, you know, if you're going to drop ship something, you know, you know, say from Alibaba, they're going to send it through a generic like cardboard box. Whereas if you get something from a brand, you have this whole brand experience
Yeah,
when you even
exactly.
use the product itself. And that's what people love, you know?
Yeah.
And so that means you can't just have it shipped from the supplier directly. You need to have the warehouse like that you were saying, and have it, you know, labeled, have a nice bag, have that total experience to make it more legit.
Exactly. And it's actually a lot of fun, but it's also like a lot of headache. Like, there's some aspects of brand building where it's really fun, like making the packaging, making the website, because you're actually like doing more onto the website, making the photos how you want them. But then there's also a lot of hassle, which is like the fulfillment side. Like, how are we going to make this as fast as possible? How are we going to do this as fast as possible? There's like a lot of little steps there that kind of suck. But I mean, it's part of the game and it's actually fun. And you're actually building something real at that point, right? Like, drop shipping is like, it's a real business model, don't get me wrong. Obviously it's made me like majority of my money, but at the end of the day, like, it's not tangible. Like, it's not sustainable for the long term unless you're consistently finding products.
And you could potentially make that brand into a real asset, because, you know, you can sell it to another bigger brand, you know?
Exactly. And we're actually thinking about either like branching it out or exiting. So we don't know yet. The time will tell over the next year and a half or so. But if we get a good offer, we might just sell. Who knows, you know? It just depends.
So you mentioned that, of course, you use Facebook ads. You said you're experimenting with Snapchat, Google, TikTok. Now, out of all those tools, what's kind of like your split? So, for example, you utilize 70% of all your advertisement budget on Facebook ads, and then the rest on, say, Google?
Yeah, Google's definitely a big player, just because I have friends, like one of them is actually like one of the top drop shippers in the space. His name's Art Hernandez. He was actually my roommate for a little bit, but basically, Art and me have been good friends since like the beginning of both our dropshipping journeys. So like we just kind of like collabed, and like anything Google related will either go to him or my friend Ebenezer. It just depends on who's less busy and willing to take it. And usually just depending on how they see the data and they tell me like if they need to push it, I'll give them a majority of the data. It just depends like how both platforms are doing. Like if Facebook's doing extremely well and Google's doing okay, then that will dictate the percentage cut. If Google's doing better than Facebook, then I'll give them more of the budget, right? So it just depends on how things are going in that particular scenario.
Yeah, I never really hear about people running Google ads to sell products on their dropshipping stores.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people who do it. And I think that's why, like, they're actually like in this quotation marks around big group chat. There's like 8 people in it that do Google. I'm like, that's not even that. Like, I'm in one where it's like a Facebook only, like Facebook guys only. It's like literally like 80 people in there. I'm like, it's a drastic difference. And these are like the gurus. So there's like 80 gurus versus 8 gurus. You know, like it's just a drastic difference. So that's what kind of tells you like Google is kind of untapped, but it's starting to pick up. But at the end of the day, it's like relatively untapped compared to Facebook.
Yeah, because everyone literally talks about Facebook. Now, how many stores are you running right now then? You said you have 2 brands, right?
Okay, so 2 brands. We have, let me see, 2, 4, 5. I'm running about 8, I believe. No, 9 stores right now.
Damn, so how do you, I can't imagine running that many stores. I mean, of course, you have a team and you're just focused on the ads and whatnot.
Yeah.
But still, like, it's still a lot of brain power to compute with 8 different businesses.
What I've noticed happens is like once you kind of get comfortable with like reading data and everything, and when you start scaling, like the management on the ads literally takes no time at all. I literally am trying to add like a whole nother project because I'm bored in my office and I have nothing to do after I'm done. Literally all those 8 ad accounts, like it will take me literally probably like 30 minutes max, like to check them, cut ads, and like scale up if I needed to. And I do that twice a day, so like an hour a day max on work on that end. Anything website related that I think it needs to be touched on, like that'll take me like another hour every day. And then that's why like it's so important to have a partner that would do a lot of the other work that you don't want to do, because you pick up someone who's like making sure that the supplier has like the inventory and we're shipping it into the fulfillment center, or making sure the VA team's on it and all that stuff. So I think with having a partner that has that second like set of skills that I think every dropshipping business needs, you're able to expand. If I was doing it all on my own, I could honestly think I could only really manage 3 stores. But with having him, I think like we're able to spread ourselves like a lot more, and that's why like 9 stores doesn't bug us anymore, you know, because we're not like each of our workloads is significantly lower because of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it was only like my opinion. I mean, I guess if you are working by yourself, doing 3 stores is still a lot.
You're gonna hate it. No, like you can't do 9 by yourself, in my opinion. Like max is 3 for sure.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's definitely important to have a team or a system in play, because again, you know, it's not only just running Facebook ads, but it's managing the site, social media, and all like the logistics that you don't want to take care of, you know, the legal side of it as well, right?
Yeah, and so I always tell people like get a Jacob. That's my business partner's name. So get a Jacob. Like everybody should have a Jacob if you're gonna take this seriously, in my opinion. Like yeah, you can make good money with just by yourself, but like everybody who's like big I've talked to has a partner. So like my mentor's name's Justin Wool. His partner's name is Thor. So they're like a team. Like one of them's kind of like the face of their brands and like or face of the dropshipping thing. Another one's just kind of in the background. That's Jacob with me. Like he doesn't really have the personal brand. I'm the guy who does. But he wants to start coming out with stuff. But that's kind of how I've noticed. So like a lot of these gurus, even though they don't tell you they have a partner, a lot of them do. And I can speak for the experience because I'm in the same group chats with them and they're talking about their partners. So they don't want to tell you, but that's kind of like the scaling high.
And how much revenue are you guys driving across all your stores?
Across all our stores, it varies. So one of the major problems that we had this year was that we actually got slapped in the face by a big merchant hold. So I'll kind of give you background on that and then answer your question. So in April of this year, we hit our couple 100K days. So super phenomenal, like, you know, amazing accomplishment, like all our hard work and like all the times we got scammed, like finally paid off. Little did we know, we just got scammed again. So we were with Stripe and they actually couldn't handle the volume we were doing. We were doing like 50K days. So this is a kind of a rule of thumb for everybody. I recommend if you're using Stripe, do not pass 15K days. If you pass 15K days, you're gonna start having a lot of issues. That's just something that we noticed. I don't know if that's like an accurate number, but 15K days, don't exceed that if you want to be safe. We were pushing 50K days, so, you know, completely different number, way more. And basically Stripe again asked us politely, they're like, yo, we can't handle your volume. This time it wasn't because the product was high risk. They were just saying that we can't handle the volume that you're pushing in right now. So they basically asked us politely to leave. Like, you have a week to leave. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we ended up going with Chase. So we actually had a Chase bank account and they had a merchant processor service. So we basically applied with them. Unfortunately, when you get into the different like third-party processors, there's like a whole other like scenario and world between them, something called mids, which I don't really know how to explain it because I'm not in that world, but a mid is basically like how much a bank is allowing you to make, right? So when you work with the correct merchant processors, they'll give you like 30 mids. So each mid will say, okay, this person could make 50K. So if you do 50K times 30, you can make a shitload of money. When you're working with the actual bank though, you only are allowed 1 mid because why would they want to work with other banks? They're going to want to work with themselves. So we were only approved to make $100,000. They never told us that. The guy who literally signed me up was like, make as much as you want. I was like, damn right. All right. We did 1.2 million in about a week. And basically 1.2 million is a lot more than 100K. So long story short, they think we're drug dealers and they held our money. So we're actually suing them for like a big chunk of change. So we're suing them. We're in the lawsuit process right now. But unfortunately with that, they actually put us on something called a match list. So a match list is basically like saying to other banks that we're high risk clients. So any merchant processor or bank will not open an account for me. Like whether it be like a personal bank account, I can't open another personal bank account anymore. So until I get off that list, the only way to get off that list is to sue or wait 5 years, but I'm suing. So when we win, I will get off that list and I'll have a big payday. But it definitely hurt us a lot. So that whole scenario definitely like hurt us a lot because not only did it cripple our finances because we invested a lot of our own money into that store, but like it caused a lot of emotional trauma, a lot of stress. So I actually have psoriasis, so it's a skin condition where like you get little red patches. So like I started getting red patches up here, like on my face, and like I was literally all red during April because I was so stressed out that they held all our money. So it's like a fucking terrible experience, and I'm actually still haven't recovered from that. So that's something I'm actually gonna use in court. So I'm like, cool, like, you know, like my lawyer was like, take pictures, make sure we have these in court because we're gonna like play the damn, you really fucked this up card. So like, yeah, it's gonna hopefully. I mean, I know we're gonna win, so just hopefully it's an easy case. But basically, going back to the question though, on match list kind of like screwed us up really badly because it was really hard for us to get approved by merchants. So we would like scale a store up, and as soon as like that merchant processor found out we were on the match list, they just hold our money and leave. So we have like literally $2 million held up between multiple things. So what we're doing now is I'm actually like reaching out to family members and giving them like 5 to 10% of profits and just using their name as a signee. The problem though is that since they're new to all this and like with COVID-19, banks and like merchant processors are a lot more strict now. So the merchants that we're working with right now don't approve them for a lot. So like we're only like we have to kind of comply with like the amount they're basically allowing us to do. So right now between all the stores, like we do probably about all 9 stores, probably like 200 to 300K in revenue, which isn't bad, but like we used to do that on 1 store, you know, so it kind of sucks a lot. But we have to be very compliant. I have the skill sets to hit 100K a day again. Like I know that for a fact. It's just that I can't without risking another big issue. So right now we're just laying low to after our lawsuit and then kind of figuring out the next move from there.
So, I mean, obviously you can't tell us what your product is, but can you at least say, is it a high ticket item, a low ticket item?
It was an item that people bought a lot of. So basically like we had different variants and people would buy like literally every variant of it. So basically different sizes, different colors, people were buying them. It was crazy. So that's kind of like what really worked for us. The ticket price of the product itself was around $60. So that's kind of like the base one. But then we had a quantity break set up. So people bought multiple, they get slight discounts. The usual average order value was 3. So that equated to, I think we charged $140 for all 3. So like our average ticket was literally like around $140. So it was insane. So that's what made it super easy to scale that high because we had a product that was hot. It was like a summer related product. I'll tell you the niche, it was in electronics. But it was an electronics summer related product. It had high demand. It had a lot of variants. So people were just buying a shitload of them at a time. It was insane.
Okay. So is it just a seasonal product then?
I would say yes, because we tried running it again in July and didn't really work as much. I think it was more of a spring-based product.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah. So it did it decent in July. It did decent in October and in August. And now that we're getting into like these months, it's not really working. But we're gonna give it another shot next year, and we'll just see how it goes. It doesn't hurt.
I think that's pretty cool that, you know, if you have a seasonal product, that means that, yeah, even though you have 8 stores across the board, you don't have to focus on them OD amounts across the all 4 quarters of the year. You can just focus on one specifically with that one winning product that you had that's seasonal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So wait, so was that you that discovered that product?
It was kind of like, damn, that was kind of a weird one. It was kind of like all of us, to be honest, because so that one had my partner Ebenezer on board, who does Google Ads, my partner Jacob and me. And I think Ebenezer was the first one to find it, but Jacob also found it separately. And we basically had like a Skype call, and like they both brought the same product to the board, and I was like, let's run it, like screw it. But I was weird though, because I was actually very hesitant on running this product because I actually tested it first and I flopped terribly. Like I'm kidding you, like like I've never run an ad that bad, so it flopped like really badly. So Ebenezer actually started doing Google Ads for it, and he actually built momentum. So a month goes by, we're at about 10K a day with Ebenezer's ads only, just Google. And I'm just kind of like beating around the bush doing like random jobs for them because I kind of felt bad that I wasn't carrying my own weight. And basically at that point, Jacob really said like, yo, you should try this on Facebook again. Just give it a shot. And I was kind of super hesitant. I'm like, no, like I don't think it's going to work. Like, you know, based on like old data, like just give it a shot. Like we have the money to play. Like just throw a K at it and see what happens. Threw a K at it and literally like 20K came from Facebook. Like it was insane. So at that point, I'm like, holy shit. Like, so basically what happened there is that I was utilizing the Google data, which I've been marinating for about a month. And now that the Pixel has learned what the ideal customer was, my Facebook ads were basically supercharged. So I literally just like started scaling like crazy. And that's where I learned like the skill set I'm at right now, where like I scale with multiple profiles and multiple ad accounts. And I also like save my pixels over. Kind of a complicated like thing to talk about because a lot of people don't know about that world. But basically like I was scaling with multiple ad accounts, and that's what allowed us to hit that 100K a day. So it was just super interesting to see like the ability of like what data could really do for a business when there's a lot.
What are like some nuances or golden nuggets that you have for dropshippers right now, entrepreneurs, that they can use to really drive more conversions on their store?
Yeah, I think copy is starting to get more important. I think the average consumer is getting a lot smarter, and they actually want to see like a little bit more like a little bit more effort in the copy. So I think your product descriptions matter a lot more now. So that's why I going back to what I said previously, is that I think you should kind of like write a story around like the benefits and not just list them. So that way the customer and the consumer could just place themselves in the shoes of that story and kind of see how that product will apply to their daily life and make their life better. I think that's very important right now. I think having a nice website that loads fast is extremely important. Those are all just like common knowledge though. I think product selection matters a lot. And I think the problem that a lot of people face is that they're just looking for what people want to buy, but they're not asking why they want to buy. And that's been a big game changer for me over the past year, is that I started focusing more on the psychology of why people buy things. And that's been a big game changer for me in my product selection. And I think that's why I'm hitting a lot more winning products now.
Yeah, I was speaking with this guy, Peter Prue, and he told me that when he got into entrepreneurship and into e-commerce, he got into e-commerce where it wasn't too hot. There weren't many tools, so you kind of have to scrape together independent softwares and mesh them together and create an e-commerce store. Whereas today everything's integrated on Shopify and everyone's doing it. And he said, yeah, back in the day it was much easier to make money. All you have to do was run an ad and you make money. But now you have to do more of a storytelling / branding play to make those sales. So things are a lot more difficult, and you need to put in a lot more work to drive up revenue.
100% agree with that. I think it was kind of weird. I think before the website aspect was a lot more difficult, but running ads was a lot easier. And now I think it's the opposite. Like making a site, you can literally build one if you know what you're doing in like 20 minutes. And but making the ads and like making them convert's a lot more hard at this point. So it's just kind of funny how things shifted. But yeah, I think the consumer is getting smarter. So you do need to put a little bit more time into like your logo, your website design, and like, your copy. Other than that though, in terms of like Facebook scaling, I just think the biggest piece of advice I could give a lot of people, and this is something I preach, and like literally, I've already done 2 podcasts aside from this one. So I preach in both of them this. So I think information overload's a big thing. And what I mean by that is that people tend to like overanalyze and inform themselves with topics, right? So like some people will literally do this, and I'm ashamed of it too. Like I've done this. So when I first started into to Facebook ads, I would literally watch like 30 YouTubers videos, and like I wouldn't do anything with that information until I got my mentor. But I could have probably like just jumped in and probably had some decent success with that. And I think that's something that people are doing. They're learning from too many people. I think you should really narrow down maybe just 3 max of who you should learn from at the beginning. And then figure out like the perfect balance between their strategies, and then just go in with that strategy. Don't overlearn. Like once you think you have something, give it a shot, because like trial and error is the best teacher. And at the end of the day, like if you lose, just, take it as a lesson, recoup, make some adjustments, and then give it another shot. Don't just be the guy who stands on the sidelines soaking in information and thinking that that's enough, because it's not enough. Like at the end of the day, you can have all the information in the world, but if you never apply it, then what's the use?
Yeah, and you can be easily overwhelmed looking at all these YouTube videos, and you get nowhere. I think that's a good idea, just focusing on a couple of like YouTubers and just taking that initiative, because if you just learn, you can only learn so much. But if you actually take initiative, there's like missing holes that you have to fill in yourself, because on these YouTube videos or any YouTube video, they're not going to legit tell you every little thing that you have to do, and you have to learn that on your own.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, like with my mentorship students, like I don't make any guarantees. I can't. It's impossible. Anybody that makes you a guarantee is probably going to scam me. That's just my rule of thumb. But with a lot of this, it's just trial and error, like how to choose winning products. I can show you a system. I have a 10-page doc that I show every student. They get this doc, but at the end of the day, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to find a winner, because it still requires a little bit of like a muscle to like that you have to develop to find winning products. Everybody calls it that product eye. So you have to kind of develop your product eye down the line. And I can't teach that. I can teach you like how I look for things and like how I validate and make sure that that's something I want to test. But the product eye, this comes naturally. Like I have some students who like after 3 products are killing it. I have some students who are on their 15th and they can't really get momentum. But at the end of the day, they understand like what it is. And I taught them enough where like when they do find something, they know what to do with that product. So one thing that I really preach to all my mentorship students is that I want them to learn how to read data extremely well. And this is another golden nugget here. Learning how to read data is probably the most important thing you could do when it comes to any advertising platform. And the reason is for this. My students can now dictate whether a product is going to work within $60, whereas the average drop shipper just starting will usually take around $120 to $200 to just test a product to see if it's going to work. Think about that for a second. They're spending almost three times the cost, a little bit over 3 times the cost to make sure a product works, where my student is able to sell in $60. So that just means that if they have the same budget, my student can test 3 products, whereas this one can only test 1. And at the end of the day, this is a numbers game. The more you test, the more likely you are to hit your winner. So if this person is this budget stretching a lot further and testing more products, and he or she has a higher likelihood of hitting a winning product as opposed to this person. So reading data is key. And even my students, like the ones that unfortunately don't find winners with me at the time, they're so grateful because I taught them how to read data, and now they're able to efficiently do this, and they understand that's just a numbers game at this point. Because once they find that winner, I also prep them to know exactly what to do with that product based on the data. So that's my goal with mentorships and with everything I teach. I can't guarantee that I'll find you a winner. I can't guarantee that I'm going to scale you to 100K a day. But I can guarantee you that if I were to say a guarantee is that you will learn as much as you need, and you'll know when to apply it when needed.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about your personal brand, is that something that you really want to implement, where you teach people, your students, more about entrepreneurship and drop shipping? Is that like a huge aspect that you want to integrate in your business and your personal brand as well?
That's a good question. Right now, my personal brand's a mess. Like if you look at my IG, it's hideous. Like it looks like there's things everywhere. So what I really am waiting for actually is COVID to be over, because I want to start speaking at events. I've already got invited to a couple actual live events that I'm going to go speak. I'm actually hosting a live one. So if you guys want to tune in, sorry, I'm just going to plug this in.
That's cool.
All the proceeds are going to charity. We're actually donating everything to get meals for the homeless for Thanksgiving. So that's going to be super dope. It's $25 a ticket, October 31st, 2 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be me, my business partners, and a lot of our close friends who are also killing it, who are going to be speakers. So you're going to get good knowledge for a cheap price, and you're helping some homeless people get a meal. So just got to put that in really quick.
Yeah, send me the link so I can put it in the show notes if anyone's
interested. I don't actually have the site yet, but once it's done.
Okay, let me know then. All right, so I can add it to the show.
Perfect. So back to the question though. So I'm waiting for COVID to be over, so that way I could kind of just like start making content. I want to like maybe take a portion of this interview where I kind of like, you know how they do it, like they write bars and stuff, and there's like a little red bar. So I want to do stuff like that with like me speaking on stages or doing virtual events or doing podcasts, and like make my whole profile look a lot more pretty. That's kind of like what I want to do in terms of just like the visual aspects of it, and also drop more knowledge on there. In terms of like personal brand with students, a lot of people want me to drop a course. I'm just very hesitant because I feel like that will kind of not hurt my legacy, but like I think it hurts my personal brand, because at the end of the day, you're going to get, that can make the best course on the planet, but you get those people who buy it, don't do anything with it, and they call me a scam. And that kind of bugs me.
It's always going to be the case.
Yeah, it's always going to be the case. So that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of people who want it, and I know will do good with it, but there's a lot of people who won't. And that's kind of like the thing that bugs me. That's why I'm very strict on just mentorship students. And I'm actually very picky. I don't just accept anybody. I actually have like an application where I actually like make people apply, and based on their responses to certain questions, that's how I determine if I want to work with them or not. So I'm very picky with who I work with, because I want a certain type of individual, somebody who's going to work hard, not blame their faults on me, because at the end of the day, like I'm teaching them everything I know. And obviously I have successful students, so I know what I'm teaching works. It's just, I need somebody who's willing to put in the work to make it work for them.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Or you can sometimes, give away free content as well, free courses.
Yeah. So I do want to do like a mini course maybe, which will be like on YouTube for free, just something like that everybody can soak in. And then I do consulting calls, like one-offs every now and then. So anybody who needs additional help, they can just reach out to me and we can schedule a random call. Those are always good. I've gotten nothing but positive reviews so far, so that's super cool. So that's why it's like very important to me to keep that image up, because I don't have the biggest personal brand, but what I will say is that like the people who back me like a lot. Like there's people who know a lot about me. They're like, "How's the new office?" I'm like, "Damn, what the hell?" Like I just like, I'm like, "Why are you even asking?" Like that's cool, Like, so it's cool seeing people like genuinely care about me, because I genuinely give them like information that I think is like really good, And I think I do say a lot of things that like a lot of people in the space either don't know, or they just don't want people to know, and I really don't care, Like at the end of the day, like I'll give you everything. Like if you're a mentorship student, like you'll learn a lot that probably most gurus don't even know, like how to save pixel data, for example, or how to do this, and like there's a lot of stuff. And that just comes from my background with me being screwed by Chase. I had to learn how to adapt very, very well and how to come back strong. So that's kind of like where I learned the majority this whole year. But I've also dabbled into affiliate marketing, and you have to use a lot more like black hat like methods in affiliate marketing. So I just started applying some of those teachings into dropshipping, and it made like both businesses thrive a lot more.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important, like in terms of your journey, to talk about the failures that you've been through and the L's that you've been through, because, I didn't really hear about like dropshippers being like scammed or having these L's where, their merchant, their payment processors just, put them down I've never heard that before, where like you're making so many sales that Stripe
Yeah,
said, hey, you have to leave. It'll be cool to kind of teach these guys, like once they hit that scale, that level, that you give them a heads up, because that might be very helpful for anyone listening.
exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing I preach too, because like everybody thinks, and it sucks because this is just part of like the fake guru thing. The fake gurus will always preach something that will make them $1. So they're gonna rent the Lamborghini for a day. They're gonna rent the Ferrari, and they're gonna rent the mansion. They're gonna make you think and sell you this dream just so you can buy the course. A lot of people who sell courses don't even do drop shipping anymore. I know that for a fact because I'm in the same group chat with them. So that's a top secret thing. I'll call them out eventually, but basically, I practice what I preach. I do this, and even when if I do finally drop a course, like I'm still gonna do this because if you're good at what you do, this should be my main money maker, and the course should just be everything on the side, you know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I preach. So at the end of the day, like I don't drive a Ferrari, I don't drive anything. I do own 3 cars, but like they all came at different periods, and like I could sustain that. I have a comfortable living. I just got this office space. Like I make enough money to where it's cool, and I make a good amount of money. I make more than the average American, which is super dope. But I'm not a millionaire yet, but that the plan is to be one by the end of the year. But at the end of the day, like I'm just kind of here to show people that it's not all glamorous. Like you're gonna have these big roadblocks, whether you get scammed, get fucked over by a business partner, or merchant processor comes with a wrecking ball and like crushes everything. You know, but the end of the day is like it depends how you react. And like I could have easily just fell into depression and like just gave up. But instead I decided to go even further into my knowledge with Facebook ads, and now I could say that I'm like probably like at least in the dropshipping space, like I probably know a lot more than the majority of people when it comes with like all the technical aspects of Facebook.
Yeah. There's this quote that I heard today. It's like smart people learn from their own mistakes, but wise people learn from others. So if people, are listening and they can learn from your
Definitely.
mistakes and apply that, then that's just golden, But of course, that's not always the case because you have to learn the hard way
For
sometimes.
yourself as well, yeah. And that's the thing too, right? So like one thing that kind of sucks, and like I don't want to put my student on blast, like actually 2 of my students, I really preach not using PayPal because they are the devil. Like ask any big dropshipper and nobody uses PayPal. They're just terrible. Like they will hold your money no matter what. You got tracking numbers. I have a friend who owns a brick and mortar, like mind you, like physical location. And this guy sells the item to the people there, takes like swipes the card, whatever. He has PayPal. They ask for tracking numbers to release his money. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is a real location. Like, how are you asking for tracking numbers, right? And they're like saying like they can't release the funds so they get tracking numbers. I'm like, bro, what are you supposed to give them? Like there's no tracking numbers. They walk out with the product. Like it makes no sense. So that's like just to go to show you like how terrible PayPal is. But anyways, I had 2 students who like they didn't fully listen to me. I told them take off PayPal right away. They didn't, unfortunately, and now they're paying the consequences because now they each both have like 10K on hold. So kind of sucks. I mean, I told them, but at the end of the day, it goes back to what you're saying. Like, they had to learn on their own, right? They probably thought they could get away with it, but now like they're like, fuck, never using PayPal again. And that's a lesson they were willing to like take the risk on and now learn from. So, again, everything even in my mentorship, like everything I tell you is just my advice, and it's whether the person taking the mentorship wants to apply it or not.
Yeah, just one more note before we finish here. I don't want to take too much of your time,
Good,
but I always do believe that even if you have a mentor, a business partner that has like say superior knowledge in you and they tell you to do something, I think in my opinion that there's no carbon copy for one business to another. Say you have one successful store and you use the same exact strategy from that store to the other. I've heard stores like literally it just does not go well because it's a different audience, different industry, whatever it is. So your advice may not necessarily work exactly when you tell someone else. They might have to make small changes for it to actually work. So you can't just like, take it directly and then take it to heart. You got to use your own little methods as well.
Exactly. And that's kind of like going back to my mentor. If you ask me like what I took from my mentor, I don't use any of the strategies he taught me anymore because I grew into my own. And that's not to knock him because he's still killing it, right? At the end of the day, like I tell my students this too, like I'm going to give you my recommendations and what's working for me right now. But my goal for you is that I make you independent enough that where eventually you start testing things and you start like making your own strategy. Now you have something. So like a year from now, I'm calling you and we could kind of mastermind, So stuff like that I'm kind of like, that's why I preach. Like don't follow my stuff and get the ball rolling, but eventually kind of like test on your own, find something that works even better than what I taught you and use that to your knowledge,
Yeah.
That's kind of like the ultimate goal because if we're all advancing, then like my students will eventually force me to be better at dropshipping, right? Because they might surpass me. And now I'm going to be like, well, hell no, So now I'm going to go and like talk to them, kind of figure out what they're doing and try to improve on, It's just a back and forth, but it's like friendly competition at the end of the day.
No, yeah, for sure. So yeah, Victor, I definitely think that this is a dope talk. We got a lot of value from this. So if people want to hit you up or like have you as a mentor, where can they find you and
Yeah,
DM
so
you?
it's going to be on Instagram primarily at ecom_Vic is going to be my at. That's kind of where I'm at, just hanging out right now. I'm doing a joint YouTube channel with my friend Art pretty soon. We were supposed to launch it now, but just with quarter 4, like we're just kind of focusing on our own stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really make sense to like do another project that's not really necessary at the moment. So that's kind of where we're focused on. So just there. I actually did close mentorship for the rest of the year. So if you're
Oh,
interested, you're probably gonna have to wait to January, just kind of putting it out there. But the biggest thing that we have going on is this event, which I mentioned October 31st. If you guys are interested, so put the you said the link in the
the show
notes, right?
notes. Yeah. Send me the
Awesome.
link when you can.
So the link will be in there. The site will probably be built this weekend. So I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have everybody's speaker picture and all that. We have some pretty cool speakers. It's gonna be a good info. And we were just helping the homeless at the end of the day. And if this event goes well, then we're planning on doing another one late November. So it should be pretty tight.
Dope. All right,
Yeah.
Victor. It was a pleasure, bro. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Pleasure, bro. Thanks for having me,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Appreciate
For,
it a lot.
for sure.